There's my there button. It's thereing. Welcome to the PARAcast. I'm your host, Tomas the Boss Fernandez. I was driving up to Salt Lake, and I got I'm part of the Subway app, and so I got a thing. So I wrote 3 Subway intros. Joining me tonight, he's so terrible, Subway took his club membership away. It's Steve Koski.
They took away my free membership. And I'm not even Robert Wyatt.
It's like, I got 2 free subs. Like, get out of here. Cut it. Right in front of it. The only subscriber to Jared from Subway's Patreon, it's Robert Wyatt.
I mean, I'll listen to anything once, and then I'll probably go to jail. Somebody's got to support him.
And he steals people's to-go subs because he's a GM, damn it. It's Kenny Terry.
It's one of the perks of making it, Get all the subs.
All the jokes on Kenny because somebody ate his sandwich.
He's like, gosh dang it, another vegetarian. Oh, no. Anyways.
Did we ever figure out who ate your sandwich? It had to be Clay.
I'm thinking it was Clay or Mark Brown, one of the two.
I think it's Mark. That's why he's not showing up anymore. It's like,
he's ashamed.
That's it. I left on a high note.
He's got those big cold sores now. He doesn't know where they came from.
It's like
communicable disease. What the hell?
I brought a couple little tins of ice cream to work for the people in the office because, like during the day I'm done. I got like 30 minutes. So I was like, oh, we'll have ice cream on Friday. So I brought 2 little quarts of ice cream. And only one person was having it, and she brought bowls and spoons. And so then I just like, all right, so we're just spooning it in there. And then like I eat it, and I was like, I think I'm going to have some more. And then she goes, I'll wash my spoon. I was like, you're fine. You don't have to wash your spoon unless you have mono. If you have mono, this could trigger a rash of events to get me divorced for no good reason, just because we both share pistachio ice cream. Kenny, you've been gone. Where you been?
Turkey hunting.
How'd it go?
Well, so far not great, but we've got 3 more weeks of it.
Well, the key question here is how much beer did you drink versus how much Bud Light did you drink?
0 to 0. No liquor has been consumed. So I've seen them, but we're archery hunting, so at least gotta get within 60 yards of them.
Oh, okay. So you actually have to be a little bit more steady than with a gun.
60-yard shot with a bow on a turkey. That's pretty.
Is that a lot? I don't know. I don't know what the range of bow is.
It's a good shot, but I mean, in practice, I've been able to keep a 2-inch group at 60, so I feel comfortable with it.
That's cool.
So, yeah, hear them everywhere. The weather's been atrocious, of course. Fucking Utah, It was like 90 in Fillmore last weekend, and then this weekend got nonstop rain. Like, we got stuck, our buddy got stuck. We had to pull 2 trucks out. We'll see.
That just sounds fun.
What kind of an arrow tip? What kind of an arrow tip do you fling at a turkey?
So it's a Rage broadhead, which is like the solid broadhead is more of a hook, and then there's a an opening broadhead that opens up 3 inches once it hits a turkey.
Okay.
So you can use those, or like a lot of people like to shoot turkeys in the head, and they use like a 4-inch broadhead and just shoot their head and pretty much decapitate them.
Wow.
So do you have to get like a tom turkey, or do you have to get like a female? Any turkey will do.
Yeah. So in Utah, their spring tag is just any bearded turkey.
Any bearded turkey.
Yep. So some hens do have beards, which is female.
Yeah.
Or you can shoot a Jake or a tom that have a beard.
So where do you find turkeys outside of the frozen aisle at Smith's?
So Fillmore, Richfield area has a ton of turkeys in Utah. If you know somebody, Vernal has a lot of turkeys, but they're all on private land. And then
up on Temp, there's a billion of them, but you can't. It's all private. Land. It's all private land.
Do they? Okay, this is how ignorant I am. Do they run wild, or is this like a herd kind of thing? I don't know how to ask the question.
They kind of stay together.
In flocks.
They'll stay in flocks. I mean, you'll see 6 of them. You never see less than 3 of them or whatever. They're always pretty together. And then sometimes you're just walking around. It's like, oh, look at that. There's 200 turkeys together. Is that interesting?
Yeah. Especially springtime, they'll stay together. More towards fall time, they'll start getting into smaller, 2 to 3 flocks.
So does their behavior change during the hunting season? Because I've seen turkeys during the non-hunting part of the year, and they don't give a crap about anything.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just like any other. I swear they know when the hunt is. They just go and hide.
Okay.
But turkeys are actually like they're really hard to hunt because their eyesight is so good that any movement and they're gone.
Interesting.
Whereas like deer and elk, if you kind of spook them a little bit, they're dumb enough that like they'll run 10 feet and then stop. Whereas turkey, once you spook them, they're gone.
That's kind of cool, though.
We all know, Kenny. We saw Jurassic Park, and we got the explanation about the T-Rex. We all know about their eyesight. All right, they're all just big birds. We've all seen it. We're all experts.
It's been fun. I love hunting, so whether I've shot anything or not, it's still
just walking around. Well, why
I'm
working
in an office?
It's always good.
His dad's probably still feeding him. He's probably still taking his dad primers. You know, it's
I
all
wish any
easy,
of this
free
was
living.
true.
I don't know. I mean, let's see. Kenny's stories, Steve's stories.
Yeah.
Steve's have a lot more weight.
Shit.
No, they don't.
You mean the one that changes every week, whether it was 2,000 primers, 5,000 primers, 50,000 primers?
Well, considering that Steve's the one that holds the keys to me getting into the range, I'm going to believe him.
Yes.
There is a
call.
consistency, which is primers go in one direction. There's a consistency to that story. Was it one beer? Was it two beers?
There for?
Was it 10 beers before you took the wheel,
If that's
sir?
the case, then there's a good reason that Dakota and Mercedes are not getting into guns.
Yeah.
It's like easy. It's a bad hobby. You guys don't want to join in on this. Do we want to talk about the minutes, or do we want to go around the round table first?
Well, talk to Steve first, and then we'll circle up with the
minutes.
shit show that is USPSA.
I am
guess
looking at the bottom right corner of my screen, which is the home of one Steve Koski.
Well, I shot the limited optics match at LTD yesterday.
How?
But I actually shot it in limited, and I won limited because nobody shoots limited anymore. It's the new production.
Yep.
Oh my gosh!
Like
Irons are dead. Holy
yeah,
smokes.
iron sights are. It's sad.
No, it
Yeah.
is sad. It is sad.
It's sad when you have to when Steve Koski wins limited because nobody else is there.
Hey, I think default is a great way to win.
So does Josh. Josh thinks default's a great way to win. You still listening, Zellwig?
Looking at the production winner.
Quickly on that, something that's funny. So up hunting, I was the only competition shooter there. There was 6 or 7 handguns with us, and there was only one iron-sighted gun there.
No kidding.
So even in competition, or even out of competition, irons are dead.
Irons are dead. Well, and I mean that's a natural outgrowth of a device that makes the shooting process with a difficult gun more enjoyable. And I mean, it's like it's like we talk about everything. I mean, I love horses, but I'm not going to go and ride a horse down to St. George.
When's the last time you saw an iron-sighted rifle?
Besides like my lever actions and stuff like that, but even those I just haven't. I haven't put optic on them yet.
Yeah, unless it's like you barely ever see it. Barely ever see him. Well, how'd you come in the overall, Steve?
I was like 14th out of 60 or something.
That's
so
not bad.
not too bad.
It's not
How
bad.
many limited optics we're shooting?
I don't have the numbers, but
Oh, no worries.
yeah. Kenny wasn't there. Leo wasn't there. All the heat wasn't there. I had to beat Dan Ward.
That's okay. He deserves to be beat. Glowy.
And Mark Terry says, I was like, when are they going to combine carry optics and limited optics? He's like, they better never combine those. If you think shooting a single action gun is like shooting a Glock or a SIG, he's like, you're crazy.
Oh man.
There was
the same.
12 limited optics.
12 limited optics. How many carry optics did it say?
26.
Okay.
Well,
And they're probably all waiting for their limited optics guns to come in stock.
Come running in. They just like, oh, thank goodness I can spend some staccato money. Speaking of not spending any staccato money, do we want to talk about the rival?
Yes. Do it.
This is the Canik Rival S.
Oh, look. It's a steel frame gun.
You got a steel frame Glock?
Wow.
It's
heavy guns.
Robert,
crazy pills or something here?
Look up so I can shoot you right in your.
What is wrong with you, Tom?
So I was just
You
messing
know what
around.
this means, Steve? It's a matter of time. One of us. One of us.
So I sat there and I was looking at that and I was talking with Mr. Dave Blanton about, all right, well, let's say you get it.
There we go. Everyone take a shot. It's
There
the Dave
everyone said
Blanton
Dave Blanton.
Humble Marksman reference.
You gotta slap a kid.
The unofficial 5th member.
So I was talking to him and I talked to Kevin Isaac about getting one of these, and I was just like, all right, well, whatever.
Sorry, Kevin, you're not getting a shot.
I was like, whatever. And so like these things are basically unobtainium for actual MSRP or below MSRP. And so I was just refreshing it, and then one of them popped up at Bass Pro, and I was like, all right, I'll get it. And if I don't like it, I can literally flip it for $400 more than the asking price, because on Gun Broker they're going for like $1,400.
What?
Yes.
What's the MSRP?
MSRP for this model is $899. No,
$899.
$950. I got it for $900. Yeah, $900.
Okay, yeah.
And so it is. If anybody did it right, Canik did it right out of the box, because they made a 42.5-ounce pistol, which is legal in every IDPA division that's going to be legal, and it's legal in every USPSA division it would be legal in. And so it's kind of neat what they sat there and they did. If you remove the grip panel, you'll see it's skeletonized. But what it is, it's a whatever, their TP9 or whatever, their rival series, steel framed, 42.5 ounces, optics ready, iron sight ready, completely rough in every spot you want to sit there and touch the thing. 8 billion things. The case that it comes in is incredible.
The cases are really nice.
42.5 ounces also.
Yeah, 42. Yeah, so they give you one of this lockable Pelican hard cases.
Oh, you could actually fly with it, huh?
Yeah. Inside, level 1, you get your grip panels, your magazine. That little gun holds is a Torx driver with all the screws. You get your magwell that goes on there. And so with the magwell on, it's like 42.9 ounces. So it's still ESP legal. Like this is how well thought out this whole system is for everything. They give you 2 aluminum base plates to go on the magazines. So if you want to use the magwell, you can use the aluminum base plates, and you also have the plastic ones. Underneath the bottom, they give you your 5 or 6 optics plates, a holster, and then they actually expect you to clean it and take apart the gun. So they give you an actual punch to remove parts of the gun if you need to actually get into the gun and use it.
And that cleaning stuff is about as useless as that holster is to me.
And then they actually let you get
Those
cutouts.
holsters aren't bad, I thought.
No,
Yeah,
they're not
if you're
bad. They're not bad holsters. I mean, they're not the
They're
best.
better than the XD holster.
They give you cutouts for you can actually
No,
move
the
cutouts for
XD
the
holster,
optics and stuff.
it has a little thing on the side. It says holster zone.
Holster zone. But it's very neat because they set the gun up with like literally like they're like warrants, but they're like adjustable fibers that are just as nice as a Dawson. And this is their rear sight plate that they give you. They give you a brilliant serrated rear sight plate that you can sit there and throw on the gun, and it's quite well done. I mean, they try to balance the gun out. I mean, my only complaint was I wish they just gave you a regular dust cover and then put the weight back into the grip, but it wouldn't sell if you couldn't put a light on it. They give you a steel guide rod. My guess is they would give you a tungsten, but it would put it over the weight limit for ESP. And so they don't do that for you.
Yeah, but on the plus side, I know a guy, W74guiderods.com.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, he could get you a really nice tungsten guide rod. Really good guide rods.
They try to move all the way to the back, which is pretty nice, but the serrations going forward, like these things are sharp. They are bitey. So it's not like in name only or looks only. Like it's one of those guns that kind of hurts to sit there and hold and use.
Well, you do have tender hands, Tom.
I do have
that for many years.
The front straps, they'll dig into your hands pretty well. I mean, they are really good. The magwell, before the magwell, is nice and beveled and open. And then you slide the magwell on, put a screw. It's flush fit. It's fantastic. Everything on it is checkered. So you have like these memory pads up here, and these are steel. They're checkered. And then your magazine.
Memory pads. That's where you put your finger when it's out of the trigger guard?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Put your finger up
or
there.
Your thumb.
Or your thumb on there. The mag release is checkered on there, so it actually bites. And then they give you 3 different levels to extend the magazine release. And it has kind of like this easy grip that you can kind of hit the mag release wherever. It uses a Beretta pattern magazine. Now, you can't use Beretta magazines because the Beretta magazine cut is in a different spot. So all my Beretta...
I got a DeWalt tool that says I can make that work.
My Beretta mag extensions and mag pouches sit there and work for it. But the big selling point on this stupid thing is the trigger. The trigger is 3.5 pounds. It has very little pre-travel. It's just this big white aluminum shoe. Brakes. Tiny reset. Brakes again. I mean, it is literally the one-stop shop for a competition pistol. Like, literally, you pop the sights off, put the irons, you got a limited gun, an ESP gun, a stock service pistol gun, a production gun, and then carry optics, and then a magwell on it. You're in limited optics. I mean, I wanted one to screw around with. We'll see if I like it or not. I don't like the grip. The grip is pretty thin, even with the big backstrap on. And
how close would you say the trigger is?
They're gonna put brass They're gonna get brass grips for them.
Yeah,
you'll be able to make it more chunky.
Removes off, so you can put a brass section on there, and then when you remove this off, you just see like a jail, like a cage of the lines of the steel. They remove it. Yeah, it's.
How close would you say the trigger is to like a crisp 1911?
I would say it is very similar to the Timney out of the box.
A Timney Glock trigger.
Timney Glock trigger. I mean, it is very, very nice. And Walthers are very good. I've always had pretty good strike fire triggers, and all this is a vastly updated Walther P99. The patent ran out on it, and so they kept making their own little things.
Yeah, it's Tommy. At this point, Walther is now the poor man's Glock.
Yeah, it's the inferior Canik is what
the poor
is.
man's Canik, excuse me, because Canik has just gone so much further down the road. And I mean, let's just be bluntly honest. This is because of Nils Jonasson. Yeah. He is 100% responsible for how good Canik put out such a fantastic firearm.
This is literally.
They may as well just call it the Nils Jonasson
for $900. Like it's literally when people like it. Ready to go out of the box. You need a couple more magazines. You're literally ready to go. Here's the other thing that Canik is doing. The rough part is the frame. The frame has a stainless like Cerakote, and so the magwell is already starting to peel off some of that Cerakote. But what gun company is going to give you a hard chromed slide from the factory? And so the
slide's hard chromed.
The slide is hard chromed.
No kidding.
Slide and barrel are hard chromed. So
that's why that is such an easy gun. Not necessarily the steel frame, but the Canik is such an easy gun to put in the hands of a first timer and be like, here you go, everything you need. Come on out, let's shoot a match. It's so good.
Yeah, it's you could sit there and buy 4 more magazines and then shoot production. I mean, they give you a damn holster, and the holster is not bad. I talked to the guys over at Precision, talked to Scott. And Scott says they're working on a rival holster, but they give you a holster, and it's like a $20 holster. I mean, it's not the greatest thing, but they put a Blade Tech pattern on it, so your boss hanger or your Tech Lock can clip onto it. So even if you're not getting like the world's greatest holster, you have a holster that can actually be put on other equipment and used. The funny thing is the damn slide serrations. If you give it kind of a slight twist, the slide serrations are so damn grabby, they grab the inside of the holster.
You do like 300 or 400 draws. You'll just wear down that holster. It'll be good.
Yeah.
But it's like it's kind of one of those things where I didn't feel like I need to get something else but my Glock 34. But I just kept researching. And I was like, you know what? If I see that, I'll at least give it a try. And gosh dang it, like it is a. I mean, it feels like Mjolnir. I mean, it is 42 ounces. It's not 46 or like some of the other guns, but it is a heavy blaster. But there is my only gripe is how thin the grip is, even with the large backstrap.
If that is your only gripe,
Yeah, that's not much.
That is not much. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, totally, Steve.
I mean, as long as it's accurate and it's reliable, it would be hard pressed for anyone when even the polymer frame rival, but like if you have a sit there and you get a steel frame rival, I would be hard pressed not to tell people who are already dedicated on a platform to have something like that, because it literally, if they have another shooter that comes in their life, or they decide just to have fun on their weekend, there is nothing as far as the practical shooting sports that we compete in that this gun cannot do in 5 minutes. Like, you can set up these iron sights and take your wheeler fat wrench and torque them down to the same specs, and you're shooting iron sight divisions with a gun that's already dialed in. Like, it's pretty ridiculous. So, and they give you 6 optics plates. You can put basically any damn optic you want on the gun.
Kenny, what'd you say?
When Frank brought his out to the range, I was playing with it, and it's one of the few guns that made me kind of want to go away from my Glocks. It feels really nice, and that I had the exact same complaint, Tom. The small grip was the only complaint I had.
Yeah, it's very funny, but if like you have smaller hands, like I can hit the magazine release without shifting anything in my grip. So if you're a smaller handed shooter, like you might even be able to run the large and have like a perfect like trigger reach. But like even the way that the trigger reach, like you think of a large guy like Niels shooting the gun. Like here's the large backstrap. The trigger reach, they have it so far forward, and then it literally breaks on the 90. And so no matter how much trigger you're feeding it, you're never ever like going back towards the frame. It like literally fires off right at the front of where like your responsiveness of your finger and your ability to reset the trigger to split is like at the prime stage of where it should be. Right. I mean, it is a thought out gun, and you sit there and you think it's like, oh, there's heavier guns, I can get that. And then when you look at like, oh, I could shoot any division I want, and even constituted with the extended mag and the sight on it, 44 ounces. So you still have 1 ounce to play with in IDP's carry optics, and then you put the mag well on there, you're well in under 45, and so it is thought out to play the games. It is. I would set a bookmark on gun.deals and just refresh.
So the only thing it doesn't have is a compensator.
The only thing it does not have is a comp. I would not doubt with how quickly, because they came out with the Rival last year and they come out with the steel frame this year, I would not doubt that they will probably have a barrel that will utilize some sort of comping that would go in here, or a different slide that has a comping mechanism in it.
Probably next year.
That's next year.
It's a great gun. It's a great gun.
Really nice guns.
Yeah.
The other is like, you get this case that has everything freaking in it. You just leave it in the car. I mean
It's impressive how good it is right out of the box. I mean, it's really good.
They give you the little gun. It's a torque set at the end. It has all your screws and your drivers in it.
It's a cute little...
Yeah, it's a cute little Canik gun. Little TP9, and it literally has... So even if you don't have a fat wrench or anything like that, they give you everything right off the bat to sit there and put it together. And it's...
That's the thing, dude. I mean, like, in the time since, like, we got into practical shooting, the innovation that has happened in the firearms market has been just beyond amazing. Like, things have changed so rapidly in the last 10 years, like at rates faster than in the previous 20.
Yeah.
I mean, we sat, I mean, like the big, like, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing thing in the world. Before then was like, hey, Glock's coming out with a Gen 4 and it has a swappable mag release. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, that's the greatest thing ever. Now it's like, hey, there's a gun on the market that has everything you need and will ever need, and it's cost $900.
It has the manual. You see the gloss on that manual? It's a highfalutin manual. It's fantastic. Everything about
that's what we call coffee table material right there.
Every damn part of the freaking gun impresses. Like, even if like they don't want to give you an extra $50 for the holster, it still works with all the damn attachments you have. Like, I don't know what else to sit there and say. Donitsu was sitting me at the table when they brought it out at Cabela's, and they put the case down. She's like, "That's the case it comes in?" She gave me the look about it. I was just like, I know! And then everyone opens it like, oh, wow, look at this. I haven't seen the steel frame rival. It's fantastic. I don't know what to do. It's the gun I'll commit suicide with.
So you did tell Denisa about it.
I did. She did say
Finally.
yes.
As you drove her to the store to pick it
No,
up.
I asked her before.
It was already paid for and everything. You said
No, I
What was
asked.
the reason
He's
you had to
entering the
use?
FFL information.
You had to use her ID this time. What was that?
I had to
reason?
use her ID. She's the only one that has a working Subway Club card, so I had to use her ID to get it. Anyways, minutes. The minutes they dictate. There's 60 of them an hour, and a lot of them have betrayal in them. Did I close my? Oh no, I think I have it up here. Minutes. All right, Robert. Let's go through the minutes.
Where do you want to start?
Let's start why the meeting was called.
Well, so Tuesday, Area 3 called for a special meeting, and this was to discuss the Area 4 situation about the eligibility of the Area 4 director to continue to be an area director per the bylaws, because the bylaws as written say that the Area 4 director not having his RO certification at the time that he took office is immediately ineligible. That's what the bylaws say. The bylaws are very clear. There's no little star clausy thing in there that says, if you give us a double secret handshake, you can get out of it.
Yeah.
It's very clear.
Yep. You have to have, and the same thing on the presidential bylaws are the same reason why Yi Min is not present or allowed to be in the meeting.
Right. Now, having said that, with different people talking to the area directors, the common statement that's been communicated back to a lot of folks is we never anticipated this event happening, which is sort of problematic because these are the people that voted for the bylaw changes, despite people saying, hey, we got a problem here. And this board of directors has a track record of making changes to the bylaws and then coming back and being like, oops, we didn't know this would happen. Sorry, production. So that kind of happens. And so it does raise a few flags. Now, there is certainly a consideration. There's a saying that the Constitution is not a death pact, meaning that sometimes things can happen that are so horrible that, and the Constitution may say one thing, but if you don't do it, then essentially the country dies. And so there's an argument to be made for this potential situation. But we didn't care about this until Yi Min Lin got torched, and then everybody's like, hey, what about this Mel Rodero guy? And the reality is, if it hadn't been for Mel Rodero, Yi Min Lin would probably just be gone. And so anyway, Area 3 calls for this special meeting, and they go through. This happens on Tuesday, and the rules for the meeting minutes are now basically the board has like a certain period of time to review it. And then after that period of time, it has to be released, and it can be released through podcast, audio, or written form. It has to be written form, but it can also be done in other formats. So Friday afternoon, there was a lot of us that were just kept hitting refresh on the webpage. It finally drops, and the meeting minutes are the most vague meeting minutes that I have ever seen come out of USPSA. They basically called to roll, and then they said that Mel Rodero, Area 4, has completed his certification because he ran up to Montana over the weekend and got himself a RO certification.
Ted, who was elected vice president right before Yi Min got the boot, right, like a month before Yi Min got the boot. Mm-hmm. Ted Murphy So he says, oh, he informs the board that Area 4 Director Mel Rodero has completed and passed range officer training class and is in compliance with the bylaws. And so, like, and when did Mel do this? Like, there's pictures on Instagram of Mel doing it, what, last weekend?
Last weekend. Yeah, he flew up from Texas to Montana to take a class. And so, it's nice for poor Luke Faust, who, before the election, he actually flew to California to take the test so that he'd be in compliance on day one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's awkward. It's not a slap in the face or nothing. But, that exists.
Yeah, and so...
Yeah, so technically, he resigned by not having his thing a long time ago.
100%.
And he would have to follow some sort of election or reinstatement process.
Special election would have to be created, and then Mel Rodero, being an RO now, he can run, and he's a great guy. So by all accounts, Mel would get in.
But he got a pass.
100%, he got a pass. And so the question is, why did Mel get a pass?
Yep.
And the meeting minutes, being as good as they are, they don't exactly say.
No,
but
did they contain the phrase "dry humping"?
They did contain the phrase Attorney Jim was present, which, as generally, if you read between the lines, what that means is that the board of directors brought in their attorney, who was Donna's buddy and BFF for all we know, and the attorney went and drafted up some 5-page legal brief saying, hey, guys, this is why the bylaws don't actually mean what they mean. And I know, the bylaws are clear, but I'm an attorney. You can trust me. I'm on the back of a bumper sticker and on an overhead billboard. I know what I'm talking about.
Well,
we'll get you cash.
It's one of those things where if one side brings in an attorney and the other side doesn't bring an attorney, the side with the attorney always wins. But
how that works, and every attorney is correct. That's why when we have a lawsuit, there's a judge to figure out who's right. And surprise, surprise, your attorney, who you thought was the most correct guy in the entire face of the planet, suddenly is wrong.
Yeah.
And so this whole idea of like, hey, we have bylaws. The bylaws are very clear, but you have this attorney who says, well, no, it doesn't matter. Okay. Now, let's be fair. He may have a really good and justifiable reason for saying that, and he may be correct. So, and that's the case. Awesome. That's awesome. Fantastic. Are you going to tell the members about that?
Yeah.
Let's see. What did the minutes say? Nothing.
So, was there any discussion of Yemen or any mention of that
in a special meeting? You cannot. You can only meet when you call for.
You can only discuss that topic.
It can only be that topic.
Okay.
And so Yemen will come up at a later date, which is fortuitous because there's another situation that's brewing where you have an area director who, according to his section coordinators, went and he revealed information about what was happening in the Yemen Lynn situation, violating 10.2 of the bylaws. Now, I'm not going to say who that was because, I mean, that would be out of turn, but Leighton probably shouldn't have told the section coordinators that. Just saying.
I mean,
but he
surprise you at all, though?
No, of course not. Leighton goes all around the country talking about how awful it is that the leakers are leaking. And as we've always learned, whenever you have a politician that's sitting there and he's railing about gay marriage, he's probably taking it up. He's probably getting involved with somebody in a bathroom in Idaho.
He's probably putting his hand under the stall, palm up.
Oh my gosh!
He was asking for toilet paper. All right,
the angriest anti-gay people just want to let it out, or they don't want to let it out, right?
Yeah.
Well, the worst one of those. Do you guys remember what was her name? Chandra? Was it Chandra Levy who was like the?
Oh right.
Like who was like the assistant. And then they went after that congressman like crazy. And they're like, oh no, you did it. We got this. And it's just like how happy are that guy? How happy are that guy that the other Republican congressman put his hand underneath the bathroom stall like a year later? You're like, oh, thank goodness.
All I know is that whenever somebody goes around and screams about X injustice, I guarantee they're doing it themselves. And in this case, it seems that was probably the case. And the section coordinators have all mentioned this. So that's got to come up in some form of conversation at some point, but that can't come up in this meeting.
But
so
the motion
now
was
where
started
are we?
to have a special election in Area 4, and Frank Rizzi motions that. Scott backs it up, and then was it motion to rescind unanimous consensus from the meeting regarding the following Area 4 director RO certification. Yeah, so basically the meeting just adjourns and goes away.
Yeah, they say they basically they made these motions, and it says, well, your motions are out of turn.
Correct. It would be nice
order.
to see the legal brief.
Yeah,
it would be nice to see the brief.
Legal brief. Yeah, I mean, it would at least give the membership an understanding of what actually went on in it, instead of doing what the board has always done, which is let's just hide behind everything and say that we can't talk about it.
Yeah, it would.
But now they've got Jim the lawyer to give them all kinds of really swell good legal advice.
Well, it could be all swell and good legal advice. They just let us read it and see. I mean, if there's one thing that
I'm sure they could vote to disclose all kinds of stuff, and they just choose not to.
Yeah, I would imagine you might have 3 votes on a good day to disclose things. Anyway, they leave a little note on the bottom. It says, on 4/17/2023, the board of directors was notified that the president had his RO certification revoked. The vice president has assumed the role of acting president pending the completion of the president's appeal hearing. The hearing will be scheduled as soon as is practical. So we're still kind of up in the air on this. But if
Well, why isn't Yeeman on this show right now to give us the straight poop? Is he laying low, not making public statements about this?
I think in talking with him, I think he's probably just trying to let the process work its way through. Which
right. Well, he still has an appeal pending and all that.
Yes.
While he still, yeah.
Yes, I feel that we will have a lot of good conversations about what actually happened in the board and what happened with Yeeman as soon as the appeal is over. So you can take this 2 ways to look at it. You can be like, okay, well, they're being very... If you don't have your RO certification at the moment, the board is being very lenient to those people, and Yeeman will be reinstated and will have the chance to redo his RO certification because obviously we did it for Mel and we're all playing fair, and the legal briefs are the legal briefs, and the same argument for Mel should apply to Yeeman. Or if it goes another way,
hey Tommy, since you didn't spend so much money on that gun, I have some oceanfront property in Arizona that I'd like to sell you as well.
Or it goes completely in the opposite direction as what was argued a month ago, and yeah, Yeeman gets the shaft. But
well, that's the problem. I mean, if here's the thing, and I have no doubt that they won't talk about it. Because this is what they do, but the appeal is to the board, and so in this appeal you have to ask the question. I mean, like, what historical context in past investigations have been used to justify the removal of the CRO card? Because I've since learned the RM up in Idaho last year was Danielle Kohler, who pointed the gun at everybody, and she still has her RM card. She pointed a gun at people, lied about it, and then she was an a-hole to the rest of the squad. But she's still an RM.
Did anybody file a report?
Yeah.
Oh, they did.
But she's still an RM. So the question, I mean, this is all documented, right? Like there were eyewitness statements, but she's still a range master.
So
but
she committed a safety violation.
Tried to lie about it until there was too many people to let her actually lie about it, and then it comes out that she was basically just a jerk to everybody because for the rest of the match. But she still has an RM card. So how is it that you have a person who did flagrant safety violation, lies about it, then is complete jerk, and they're still a range master of all things? But then you have Yeeman Lin, who there is this game of he said she said of Danny Minter, who is a complete and utter liar at this point. Everybody at this point doesn't trust Danny.
PSI put out the stuff of them actually soliciting for dirt.
Yeah.
And even when the dirt was removed away, the continuation of looking for dirt to continue the process of removal.
Yeah, this is all documented.
Yeah, and that's where we are. That's where we're at. That's where we're at.
And so, like, it's like now I'm talking to people, and we're in the middle of this situation of like all this stuff happening, and the board has essentially gone to ground, and comes to find out that the board, all these letters, these emails that you send into them, not to all of them, of course. I mean, Area 3, Scott Arnberg, stuff like that. I mean, a lot of these guys, they're very favorable to us as members, but a lot of these guys now, they see any kind of email that is any criticism of the organization as just another one of the howler monkeys, and they just promptly disregard it. And so if you criticize them, they don't care anymore, because they're basically like, well, we got in so much trouble last year with everything that happened with Derek and Ben and stuff like that, that we just don't care. They're going to get mad at us regardless, so we're just going to do whatever we want to do.
It's the opposite. It's that they care a lot. That's why they don't talk.
Yeah.
Because when you don't care, you can say what you want. But when you do care, you kind of... And so it's like if anything you can say can and will be used against you, it's always good tips to shut up. But it would be nice to see the notes, because if there's a logical, coherent argument for it, I would love to have Mr. Johnson's take on it. I mean, honestly, it'd be fantastic to have the take on it.
Just in terms of transparency, it'd be nice so the membership isn't left wondering what the board is doing up in their crystal tower.
Listen, and if there's stuff that has to do with financial stuff or other personnel information, feel free to redact it or remove it from the information. But I mean, the everything being, it should work the other way around. Meeting should have a 3/4 vote to make it, what would you say, to black it out or put it under 10.2. Instead, like, that's just the default. It's like, so almost every conversation, like, the members are like, okay, well, I gotta get my information from one of the area directors who has an agenda. I mean, every single one of them has an agenda and what their agenda is, and then we gotta take that and parse it down. And so all we're left with doing is literally trying to call. We see the players on the bases, and then we're like trying to call the balls and strikes after the fact.
Right. Well, and that's the problem, Tommy, is like right now, I've spoke with a handful of people, and they're essentially like a couple of them are like, okay, well, what is it we can do? Because I mean, like, we could right now as a club, we could stop running. We could just stop actually running USPSA matches. We'll just do hit factor matches, and we'll just stop sending our money. Other people are like, well, what if we go and we just stop renewing? Like, and I was telling them, like, you know, if 5 to 10% of the membership just decided, like, this year we're not going to renew our membership, USPSA is not really in a great place. Because they're already cooking the books so dang hard to even try and show some kind of a profit. When you pull 5 to 10% of the membership renewals out of it, they're suddenly hurting.
And that's literally the public financials of what they're putting out and how much money that they're showing that they're losing.
Yeah, but here's the problem with that is right now, this year you have the presidential election, and then you have Area 6 and Area 8. And Area 6 and Area 8 have some really interesting people. Area 6 has Ben Barry, Kyle Stevens, and Matt Hopkins threw his name in.
And why they all have to run against each other in the same area? It's like, guys,
I know.
Spread the
all
love.
All three really good people. Like, could you guys just move a little bit or something? But like 3 really good people who have the best interest of the members, and this is what we're really talking about, the best interest of the members at heart. And that's who you want in there. And so they're running.
Well, even if they don't, they're different than what we have in there now. And what we have in there is a very known commodity.
Well, what you have right now is a geriatric equation who has no understanding of how the internet works.
Yeah. Well, and will be very interesting to see if he votes and how he votes, and if he runs for the position of president. If you want to run for the position of president, we recommend that you look sharp. Head on over to Dominate Defense. Get a fantastic belt, Mach 1 speed belt. It is the belt of choice for all those of discerning tastes and who like quality firearms. They want to hang it on something nice. And what they want to put in is a precision holster. Check them out. PrecisionHolsters.com. Any one of their concealment holsters, their fast holsters, their magazine pouches are all fantastic kit. They'll throw on that Dominate Defense belt. And get a +1. Get springs. Get all the stuff that you need to make your match, well, one more round in the gun, so like 1/25th better. Check them out. Rune Tactical. All those places use promo code PARA10. Save 10% off each one of your orders. They're all fantastic people. Check them out.
Sean Edmonds wants to know, what's the best knife sharpener?
Oh, I saw the guys at Cabela's. They'll sharpen your knife for free. I walked up there yesterday. They got the little belt thing, and they got that. Other than that, so I used to have like one of the Catco ones that has like the guides, and those are pretty nice.
The Lansky?
Yeah, they have like the Lansky, and they have one that was called like Catco. I think mine's original. Like mine's like 20 years old. And those are really nice because they have the guides. You can't mess up the angles. You do coarse, medium, fine, ultra fine. You wipe it on your jeans. You got a razor of a knife.
They're just a little slow, right?
Yeah, they're a little slow, but like you don't mess them up. If you want to use something that's kind of fast, Lowe's in their tool department will have a triangled whetstone. And so one flat of the whetstone will be coarse, medium, then fine, and you literally just rotate the whetstone over, and it's pretty heavy and it's flat, and you can get nice long cuts.
But then you're relying on your ability to hold the knife.
You're relying on you. You're like,
yes.
Is this an 18 degree or 22 degree or 25 degree edge?
Or if you're rolling your wrist as you do it, you're just rounding it off every time.
Yeah, the good news is there's so much whetstone you can do it as much as you want, even when that blade constantly is getting shorter. So like if you can do that, I mean, if you trust yourself enough to do that, like that's a pretty good thing because it's like $30. You will never run out of those stones. Also, they're very good because you can kind of set them on your table and kind of block them onto your table, and you can use them as stones for gun parts if you so need to. But remember, when you use them for the gun parts, they're no longer flat for knives. So pick your poison. Pick which one you want to get.
Well, you can resurface them. So what I use, this is sandpaper, and it's actually got a sticky back to it. And so my friend, what he does for me is he takes plywood and will actually adhere it to it. And so I've got like 1,000, 2,000, 800 grit sandpaper, and then I use this attachment, this thing, and the block actually just sits down inside of it like that, and then I can sharpen my knives that way, and it works exceptionally well. Steve, you're right. I mean, you do have to hold that angle, but that's an education process. I mean, and that just is what it is. And if you have certain kind of knives, holding that angle is easier or harder. Yeah. But I've been using this for quite a long time. It works exceptionally well, and it gets the knives just absolutely sharp. There's a product called, I believe, Workforce, which is a belt sander, essentially. What's it called? Worksharp. That's right. And it works really, really well. If you want kind of a one-stop, do everything, boy, it's hard to beat that thing.
How does this Worksharp work? How do you use this thing?
I mean, it's just a belt sander. It's got the correct angles to run your knife on. And then they make portable ones. Like I have a portable one I leave in my truck or my hunt pack.
But it does have a guide to help you hold the angle.
You
put it in.
Have guides.
Oh, that's awesome.
Pull it right through.
What's it called again?
Worksharp. But I think the one I have, like Ken Onion Worksharp or something like that. But you'll find it.
So why aren't you sharpening all our pocket knives at matches?
So I hate sharpening my own knives. Why would I want to do somebody else's?
Because you're nice. You want 40 brass or not, Mr. Terry? You want 40 brass or not? Because I got 75 cases. So if you want those
75,
dude, it is so.
Well, now that Limit Optics is around,
I'm going through
75 in the next 10 years.
Dude, I am going through literally like 5 gallons of brass, like popping it out, cleaning it, drying it, and it's just like, oh, I am getting like a 5-to-1 ratio of 45 brass to 40 brass now. Like I'm like, oh, the tides are turning. Like I'm happy. I'm getting piles of 9, but like the 40 brass is It's gone.
Wait,
Well,
so it looks
this-
like the work sharp is kind of like a Lansky where it's holding the angle. You're saying it has a belt?
They make a
They make a
one.
belt
Oh,
version.
they make one that has a belt. Okay.
Yeah, work
So
sharp
work
makes a
sharps-
lot of knife sharpeners.
The problem with the belt sanders is like if you have this kind of a Tonto blade where it has the angles
It
on
just
it,
rounds it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it will tend to round it. So you have to be really careful that you sharpen here, then here.
Yeah, I
right?
hate those Tanto blades for that point. for that
Well,
reason.
Yeah, and that's why just a standard sharpening in stone or this plywood that I use works well, because then I'm always working on those angles. The downside is obviously that you have to hold that angle really well.
Yeah, and then some of the guide sharpeners that you actually clamp your blade in, like your blade might actually taper, and so when you put the clamp on the spine, one, you got to put a decent amount of force because you're rubbing the stones across it, and so like they don't tend to hold, and then they give you that terrible finish wear because of the way that it's biting.
Oh
on.
my gosh, it's like holster wear, Tom. We
Listen.
can't have any of that.
I'm tired of everyone's mouth. You
This
understand?
is an audio show.
That's why when the knife starts to wear out, I either send it back to Benchmade or I just go buy another one.
Yeah, it's very nice that you can send any one of these back to the manufacturers, and they'll give you
100%.
a razor sharp knife. Like it is.
So it isn't just Benchmade that has their Life Sharp thing?
No, I think
No,
Others
they
do
all
it
do.
too?
I think CRKT's doing it too. Like
Oh,
it doesn't,
wow.
It doesn't. You just literally send it in. They'll give you like I was Benchmade's.
In Kenny's case, when the snap-on or the Matco tool guys comes in, he just throws it at him and says, "Give me a new one."
They'll actually just give me a new blade, and it takes like 3 minutes to change the blade out. And
Works exceptionally well. Which for Kenny is great because he uses that thing for
this
You
is
know,
a
like screwing things
screwdriver,
in.
This is a pry bar. On the right day, it's a hammer.
Oh my gosh.
He keeps giving it to him. It's just like this zigzag chip off piece. He goes, "Here's one part of the knife. I use this one for the cocaine. Here's the work part of the knife. It's just like 1-inch blade."
I tell you, for the things this knife does, they've been great.
Let's see, from Moisha, he said this isn't really for the show, but it was pretty interesting. He said the Buckeye Blast this weekend had a visual start where the timer was actually synced to a light, and he
So
said
no-
it was a
wait,
great match, full
no-
staff reset.
No audible beep
Nope, no beep.
off a light.
Yeah,
Didn't they do that at Dragon's Cup as well?
I think so. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's becoming a thing now.
Yeah, I'm curious if that's just going to be a thing, or if it's another one of those kind of gimmicky things that we do.
Well,
for-
last year it was the last 3 targets weekend. This year it'll be Vision Start instead of Audible.
Yeah,
I
so much
wonder-
fun.
I think it's gonna be fun if they're stealing it, and then you get a little frag and it breaks the light. That's gonna be awesome. I can't wait till that situation happens.
Let's see what else here. Has it been confirmed that Troy McAnus is the one? No, we're not going to talk about that one. Let's see. Oh, from Sean. How many flashlights are in your vehicle when you're in it?
Which vehicle?
That's a good point. I always have 3.
I have 3.
Yeah, I got 3.
4.
I have the handy dandy macro stream, which Alex recommended that I get, and it's a fantastic light. Like I've even became the spokesman when I saw 2 police officers and they were shopping the Streamlight thing at Sportsman's, and I literally smacked the lights they chose out of their hands. I was like, nope, you get a macro stream USB because you get to charge it. It gives you a 500 lumens, and then the next press is a slightly dimmer press for like working around stuff. It's pretty nice. It locks on, comes off. You literally throw it, like I put it in the tractor, I charge it during the day, and then it goes green when it's ready to go, and I pull it out and looking under the carriages at night, and it's a quite handy little $60 flashlight. It's perfect for one-handed gun shooting as well, especially if you're holding out, because it's just nice and tight and small, doesn't take much room in the pocket, and like literally 3 CR123s, and you've literally made the money up that you would have spent on a cheaper light that takes CR123s. So it's a.
And
I have
Through my experience, you use it as a hammer. They still warranty it.
everything's a hammer,
When
but
you're
a
a mechanic,
hammer.
everything is a hammer.
Those are what I keep in my t-shirt pocket at work.
Yeah, I have
The
the
macro
baby brother
streams?
to that,
Yeah.
Tommy. It's
Oh,
the
cool.
the micro stream.
Yep.
And so it's the 250 lumen. And so I have this one. I have my other one. I actually lost it for a while, so I bought a new one so that I could find it, which was nice. But
Backpack
same
light,
reason.
weapon light, macro stream. Those are the 3 that are in the car.
Streamlight wedges are also some of Streamlight's good ones.
Oh,
Same size as
I
a
like
pocket
those.
knife. They're very bright. Same thing. They've got a 2-step switch for different.
Yeah,
It's also a pry bar, a hammer.
So well. It works.
Oh, dude, this is the same thing. Like, yeah, this thing looks rough. That's only 2 months old on this one.
Well, I've pretty much worn all the. I started to wear all the finish off of this guy but I've had it forever, and it keeps on trucking. These things, Streamlight makes good lights, and they're well priced for what they are. They fit in your pocket.
As Steve used to say, the non-military, what is it? The non-contract light, military markup price light, the Streamlight, the everyman's light.
I don't really buy anything but them. I mean, everything's warranty. That's
Yeah.
It's hard not to grab the Streamlights. I mean, they are fantastic little products, especially when you compare them, when you have them side to side and you have something that's, $300 light or the $120 Surefire, and then you're like, sorry to tell you this, but like this one's working pretty good. Even when you come to the weapon light models, the TLR1 HL is like a hard light to beat.
Yeah. From Ron Davison, I have a question for the next show. What's your favorite EDC self-defense ammunition caliber and type, and why?
Steven.
Oh, hang on a second. Until now, I've been carrying hollow points, but now I'm looking at Underwood's Extreme Defender solid monolithic construction rounds. Yesterday's mall shooting in Texas has again made me question my EDC choices. Sorry about that.
I mean, I think in my Ruger pocket gun, I have some Hornady 95 grain hollow points of some sort. So that probably gets carried more than anything else. They're not real elephant stoppers, but no 380 is.
It's no 4-gauge rifle. Kentucky Ballistics. I came down. I was watching a video of Adam. Adam was watching a video, and it was Kentucky Ballistics, and he had a 4-gauge, like, solid slug gun. It's just like this big gigantic thing. It was like a 2,000 grain bullet coming out of the end of that thing. It was just like, holy smokes. It's kind of nice in nowadays that you can get the clear ballistics gelatin blocks and literally test any ammunition that you have to actually see. I mean, it's not ballistics gel, but it's very close and it's shippable, and you can get a block for, I think, what, $60, and literally set it up and shoot to see how your ammo does. Kenny?
Federal Gold Dot in my 40 and Hornady Critical Defense in the 9.
Wait, Federal Gold Dot. Doesn't Spear make Gold Dot?
Or, I mean, sorry.
Yeah, in your Glock 27.
Yeah. I'm not the person to talk about, carry guns. It's
just the last person.
It'll probably stay that same carry gun for a very long time. And
Yeah,
the same
I haven't changed my carry ammo for a long, long time. I'm still carrying like Hydra Shocks that I got from the ATF at the range like 12 years ago.
Believe me, the Hydra Shock probably has more bodies in the ground than probably any modern defensive ammunition. It had a good.
I don't know. I think that lowly 9mm ball ammo has put more people into graveyards.
Yeah. 9mm ball has done its work.
Conversely, I've got this really fine, high quality Remington Thunderbolt that works exceptionally well in my 22 EDC gun, and I'm quite proud of that.
Oh yeah, I think if you got the 22 carry gun, if you got the ammunition that works, 99 out of 100, you're already winning with the 22. Cause
well, the way I figured, I mean, I pull that little itty bitty gun out, and the guy who's being bad, he's probably gonna laugh his ass off at me, and he'll probably just die laughing. So
zip,
I win.
Zip.
No, my normal stuff is Spear Gold Dots, because that's what Murray carries. It works. It's hard to beat what works.
124 grain Federal Hydra HSTs is generally what I have, and then I got a box of 230 grain Spear Gold Dots, and so when I'm carrying the HK45 around, that's what I'll carry, and I lose about 20 feet per second out of the small gun than the big gun, and It's not much. It's like 850 to 830 feet per second, but it's good, reliable, accurate, hits the sights. So that's what I use.
All right. From Adam Reiser, who has given up shooting and is now traveling the country like the bum he is. Podcast question. With all the drama in USPSA, is it time to jump ship to PCSL and shoot matches from an organization that cares about the experience of the shooters above all else?
I mean, USPSA has been so monolithic in its ability to kind of butt out competition in a way. Like IDPA kind of is like a regional thing where you might have 3 USPSA clubs in one area and one IDPA club, and that kind of separates itself out. But USPSA and IDPA have been kind of seen as some other thing. And you're definitely starting to see the window into competition. I think one thing that what they could do, Leo Grandis and them could do, is I think what they could do is literally put on matches on off weekends and let people shoot them. I think that would probably be the best advocate for, what is it, PCSL?
So the USPSA drama is all behind the scenes, and nobody knows or cares about it unless they
know or care
are going out of their way to.
Yes.
No, it's actually the Mel Rodero thing, yes. But the Yimin Lin thing has actually it's actually transcended even into just the normies who are just wanting to show up and shoot. And that's been the one that's been weird for a lot of people, because you're normally right, Steve. Like, a lot of this stuff is kind of just back channel stuff and nobody really cares about it. But the Yimin Lin situation had a lot of people who are of the I just want to show up and shoot variety actually be like,
but I
okay,
bet if you
something's
asked
going on
99 people out of 100, we're going to be like, Yimin who? We've got a president who?
I
they
think
don't even, they're not aware.
I think it's probably
I don't think you're right about that, just based on the people that have come up and talked about it.
The basic outrage I feel kind of doubled in size, but I think that size is kind of went from like 15% of people who cared about USPSA and the politics to about 30%.
That's probably a fair statement.
I think it's much more, but to Steve's argument, I think if we asked 100 shooters at SLPSA, we would get 30 who would kind of have a grasp of the situation and know what was going on. I know for, like, some of us, it's more heated on us and has activated even more people like me who didn't really care about USPSA politics at all. But yeah, that's what I would say. I would say this is, but here's the deal: is like 30% in any election cycle is gigantic, and so this is at least not boycotting USPSA or just going about our business and everyone shooting their club. Maintain your membership and vote. I think we have to go through an entire election cycle, and maybe that's over the next 3 years. And if we can't get anything fixed in the next 3 years, let's do that. Let's shoot something else. And in the meantime, PCSL, you guys this is your golden moment. You guys need to be throwing up matches in places that have a range available on a Sunday.
Well, it's interesting, Tommy. They just
the rest of the world shoots on Sundays already. It's only in Utah where
it's Saturday.
That doesn't happen
Saturday
already.
only. I know.
Utah is a great place. Well, it's funny. Mark Compton, they just finished up the PCSL one gun championship in, I want to say, Georgia.
Can we just name it what we're shooting? Can we do that? One gun, two gun, pistol championship.
Well, but that's what I mean, because PCSL is pistol carbine.
Yeah.
And so, but they had their version of it. And well, the reason I say all that was because
USPSA's multi-gun championship.
Well, no. See, Mark Compton, he was the match director. He was a big match director for IDPA. And IDPA, I cannot remember the exact situation, but they basically torched him. And he's like, that's it, I'm done, I'm out. And he quit. And IDPA lost the Sandnat Challenge, which was his big match, as I understand it. And he instead then went to PCSL. And PCSL, they just put on their championship match. And by all accounts, from what I've heard, it sounds like they did a really good job with it.
Yep.
And so, yeah, PCSL, I mean, if they keep doing the right things and they really solidify their rule book so that it can withstand regional growth, PCSL will, with any luck and the intelligence of Leo Grandis, actually be able to build something that people would want to then go shoot. And if you do that, then maybe you have a situation a lot like what IDPA did to USPSA, where IDPA came and said, hey, there's this thing called SSP. It's 10 rounds. It's guns that are basically off the shelf, and it's really, really fun.
Hand into it. Yep.
And then USPSA is like, well, crap, I guess we have to make this thing called production. So other games can present really good information, and it can cause USPSA to stand up and take notice, and that means we all grow, and that's good. You want that.
Well, yeah, we all hope that they become the Canik of the shooting sports world. Kenny, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Let's say your local club switches over to PCSL. Are you putting the same interest as a guy who has literally spent most of his adult life with USPSA? Is that something that you just quit and move on from, or is that something you shoot?
I don't know if I can actually answer that because I don't know shit about PCSL. Literally know nothing about it.
Okay, put it in something that you would know. If your local club says we're not going to do USPSA, but we are going to do IPSC.
Fuck yeah, let's do this.
Yeah,
I prefer IPSC.
I do too. I mean, but yeah, I mean, if you
I don't. I just bought a heavy gun. I hate it.
I mean, IPSC could actually like decertify USPSA.
Look, I think USPSA has done a lot of bad shit in the last 10 years, but until somebody comes that's better than them, there's nothing to change.
Correct.
And hopefully something does come, because I think USPSA has been in a downward spiral for quite some time now.
Right.
As the sighting units got more batteries in it, it's gotten.
Yeah, USPSA's gotten worse.
We'll just say that's the direct comparison. As batteries, I've got more batteries in the guns. Where's USPSA?
Let's see. Last question from Kevin Isaac. Would it be detrimental to USPSA match to practice on PCSL K-zone targets?
Would it be detrimental?
Yeah, to your USPSA shooting.
Yes.
I agree with Kenny.
So here's a question, Kenny. So let's go ahead. Steve, were you going to say something?
The K-zone is that smaller zone where you only need one shot to neutralize the target or something?
In the head box, it basically looks just like a torso. Like you cut off the bottom of an IPSC target and put a head box on it. That's the easiest way I can kind of describe it.
Okay.
So my question would be, so Kenny, why would it be bad?
Because you do need to train your vision to aim at a certain point on target arrays, and you won't be aiming in the same spot on a K zone as you would a USPSA or an IPSC target.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like
Charlie Perez talks about this a lot, and I am 100% in agreement with Charlie and Kenny on this.
I'm very much in the idea of the vision is what leads the shooting and being very specific with your aiming point. But my question would be, if I'm being very specific with my aiming point, why does the target matter so much?
I can answer that. Tommy, Kenny, you do it. You're better at this technical stuff.
I mean, you would never
it's
practice for an IDPA
issue.
match shooting USPSA targets or the other way around. It just doesn't make any sense.
I'll say you can do it, Tom, but the programming, if you shoot 2,000 rounds on K-zone targets when you go to a USPSA match, now you have to program your brain to, when you visually see the targets in transition, now you have to program your brain to say USPSA target instead of your brain's automatically going to see a K-zone target.
Well,
yeah, Tommy, think about it like this. If you take a standard shoot target and then put a no shoot on top of it, right?
Yeah.
So you'd have a no shoot. Now you're going to know your aiming zone is going to be different in the way that you respect that no shoot.
Correct.
Versus how you would view that if you had even an IPSC target. If I had an IPSC target and I had the same kind of presentation, I know that my A zone is going up here, which means that where my eyes are going to focus hard on is going to be in a different general location than if I was using a K zone target or anything like that. That's my contention.
My simple argument is this. It's like even in a USPSA match with USPSA targets and USPSA steel and mini poppers and plate racks and KO steel, and the tuxedos and zebras and all the different spots, our point of aim changes very much. And we know that on a cardboard target, we're exactly what scoring area we're aiming in, or in where it's referenced to the other ones. But we're still picking a minutely aim point in a walkthrough that we're going to try to sit there and bring the gun up to, have our eyes locked on to, and bring the gun up to. So like I understand.
You're correct. We are aiming very minute on all of those targets, but
and they're very different targets.
Yeah, but somebody like Kevin, they're going to practice all those array. Any target array you see at a match, somebody like Kevin's practiced. And the problem here is if you shoot K-zone targets live fire, and say you shoot the edge of, I don't know what there's 0 or whatever, to shoot the edge of that, and you're calling, okay, that's on the edge. Well, now when you go to USPSA target, you shoot that shot. Are you still going to be able to call the same where that is because you're not going to see the scoring border? You need to know what the scoring borders are on that target when you call a shot.
But does that mean I have to use USPSA targets and dry fire?
Yeah, it's the same. We're still training our eyes and our concept.
You're training your subconscious to react to the way the sights and the target look. And if the target looks different and your aiming points are different, that's not great.
I would hope that when you're dry firing skinny men or diagonals or no cover or no shoots under. Same thing. We're just training our eyes and everything to see those targets.
Because and that's a good point, Kenny. Because I mean, like if you have a slant on there, then you're training your eye to go to a very specific spot on the available A zone. It's like the most cherry of the spots to get that dot or that front sight to, and you're not going to get that. I mean, I would ask the question. I mean, if you had a USPSA Nationals match next week, and you had 2 days to practice, would you take K-zone targets out with you?
Never.
What would be the benefit of shooting K-zone targets? Are they cheaper or something?
It's cheaper. It probably is a little bit cheaper. Yeah.
I think the way they cut them, you can get too high out of a cut, whereas a USPSA target, you only get one.
Yeah, you have to. Yep, those
the shipping's cheaper.
Yeah, but USPSA targets are free. Just shoot a club match and
take home the shot up targets. Right.
I mean, really, it's
right.
Yeah, my thing would be like anything that I teach my eyes to aim at, I basically pick the point on the target which is the most advantageous for me to shoot.
Okay,
so I would like to know if that's actually true by statistics. I'd love to see you shoot 7 stages of USPSA targets and shoot a stage of IPSC targets and see if you don't shoot more Charlies on an IPSC target. I mean, because the average shooter shoots maybe more Charlies on an IPSC target because the scoring zone is lower in the target.
Well, it's also
higher in the target.
It's also smaller. So there's the conversation that it's also smaller, but I'm just saying there's many
much smaller though. It's just they shoot at the wrong spot normally.
Yeah. There's many ways.
It's like when you flip over the USPSA target, and everybody's shooting.
Everybody shoots high or shoots low.
Way too high.
And it's just like there's many ways of manipulating a USPSA. Like I default to your experience, Kenny. Like I default to your experience. I'm just asking the questions.
Thank you, Tucker Carlson.
Thank you.
You're just asking the questions. I mean, the world might not be flat. I'm just asking the questions.
I think if you shoot a lot of USPSA targets and you go to IPSC targets, you'll see that there's a detriment in not training in those targets. You'll immediately start shooting more Charlies on IPSC targets.
And my only question is it just because of the smaller aiming area or the location of the aiming area? You say it's location. I think it's size.
Well, I say it's the target just because watching them, people shoot Charlies low on IPSC targets because they're used to shooting USPSA targets, that the A zone is centered in the target. An IPSC target, the A zone is high.
Yeah.
So people shoot low on an IPSC target thinking they're shooting A's, but it's because they haven't shot them enough to know that they're not. You have to aim high on an IPSC target.
Right. I mean, if you close your eyes and you imagine what an A zone of USPSA target is, you have a really good idea of what that is. Yeah. And so you can instinctively know to look in a certain location. If you're practicing with a different style of target and then you immediately go to another place, you don't have that as readily. You could probably transition fast. You probably could, but it still comes back to the idea: if you were going to shoot nationals next week, would you use some like Billy Bob's K-zone target? No, I'm not denigrating Max. I'm not. I shouldn't have said that. Would you use a different style of target? And the answer is no.
If you're going to go run a foot race next week, would you spend this week working out on your Peloton exercise bike? No, you wouldn't.
Yeah. I just if we're sitting there shooting a match and someone brings a Lucky Charms plate rack, literally with all the shapes and the balloons and the marshmallows and the stars, I've never seen a Lucky Charms plate rack. Will I be completely lost in the idea of where to hold?
No, we're not saying a lot of the fundamentals don't transfer. We're just saying at the finer end of
At the
things.
finer end, at the last 2%.
You don't want to be thinking about where you should be aiming. You want to have that just drilled into your subconscious.
And in the case of Kevin Izat, he is a high-level enough shooter that it's all about the fine tuning.
Yep.
Yeah, with Kevin, the hundredths of a second matter.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, and it's just like even on the IPSA targets, you can't him sideways, you can't him upside down. Like no matter what you're shooting in any practical situation or what the targets look like, you have to know the orientation of the target. Because no matter what the target is, you have to know the orientation of it so you actually know where to hold. So
yeah, I mean, for sure.
Is that it?
That was the last question.
That's done. That's donezo. Print it. Send it to the press. We're all good. For Steve Koski, Robert Wyatt, I'm Tom Nelson, bidding you peace, love, and souls as we depart into the open waters of the Sea of Life on a little tugboat we like to call the PARAcast.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Sorry, Leo.
Toot toot. Would you